Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the No Laying Up podcast. They did it. The tour did it again, man. They did it again. I don't know how, but just an absolute shit show of a finish on the Sunday night of the Wyndham Classic, whatever it is. I don't even know what it is. I'm absolutely giddy right now. Solly here. TC is here. Hello, TC. How are you?
I can't wipe the smile off my face. Just that last 2 hours was absolutely bonkers. That makes me thankful that we tune in for golf week in, week out when something like that happens inevitably once or twice a year.
I had no idea what we were going to talk about tonight, and then the hits just kept on coming. We'll get to him here. DJ Pie is here. Hello, Pie Man.
Greetings, guys. Yeah, I mean, first of all, just let me say wow. Just
Leave
totally,
room for a while.
just leaving room for wow on this beautiful Sunday afternoon.
A lot of joy to go around this week, especially for those that are moving on to the playoffs. We're going to revisit that conversation later in the show as we talk about our moments of joy, brought to you by a partner who knows a little something about joy. That's, of course, FootJoy, the official shoe, glove, and rainwear partner of No Laying Up. Why don't we just do yours right off the top, TC? What was we're going to do me and Pie Man's later, but I know what yours is, and we cannot avoid that part of the conversation until
I
later.
sent this over even before Cooch did that. I was just like, the last 2 hours of that golf tournament. I mean, from Cooch hitting into the leaders on 18, saying that he wasn't going to play anymore, to Aaron Rye's whole like seriously unserious deal, to like the drive-by on Chad Rainey at one point when he just absolutely, like, no doubt rinsed one in the water as he's playing with the leaders. He's 15 shots back.
The Wyndham
leaders.
Beach,
The
every night you get a sandcastle.
Sandcastle on 18T. Just all of it. It was incredible. Like what a like, and CBS stuck with it. Like they didn't have to, keep televising it after 6 or 7 p.m. or whatever. NBC would have bailed and sent it to CNBC or the Cock or whatever. And no, they stuck with it all the way to the end. They did post-round interviews. They handled the whole Kuchar kerfuffle at the end. The 4-putt from Greyserman, ball going out of bounds, him holing out on the previous hole, like
leg up into a cross
insane.
bunker. It was incredible. It was such a mess of a week. I'll give you a brief play-by-play if you happen to have missed it, but there was no play at all on Thursday thanks to Tropical Storm or whatever it was, Debbie, that definitely rolled through our neck of the woods as well, TC. But a mixture of rounds was played on every single day. 36 holes and more for some guys were played. On Sunday, Max Greyserman took the lead into the final round. He shot rounds of 69, 60, and 66. Got to admit, I missed the 60 until we were preparing for this, whatever you want to call it, round 4 recap. I don't know what day he finished that 60, but that's impressive. He holes out for eagle on 13 and to take a 4-shot lead. And it's getting late. The sun's setting. Like, it looks kind of like, all right, here we go. Like, this is what we're going to do. Steps up on 14, hits the cart path. It almost hits 2 cops going by on bikes and goes out of bounds. Then he hits his next shot left into the rough.
That could have gotten hairy.
Sure.
Laid up into a cross bunker somehow. Ends up making quad. Gives up the entire 4-shot lead. Steps up birdies 15. He's back. No worries. Hits it on the green on 16. Lags it up to 3 feet 4 inches and lips out not 1 but 2 putts. Makes double there. Meanwhile, I mean, Aaron Rye was playing a fantastic round of golf. He made birdie on 3, 4, 5, and 6. Left one on the lip on 7. Birdied 12. All of a sudden, he's not checking leaderboards as CBS had told us throughout the course of this day. Stripes it down the fairway on 18. It's getting dark and hits a great shot in there to 7 feet on 18. Rolls in the birdie. Final round 64. Meanwhile, back there, Matt Kuchar's playing in the final group has a million over par, has played himself out of the golf tournament. Tees off while the leader of the tournament is still in the fairway on the 72nd hole. Blows it way left. Greyserman still has a ton to play for. Maybe at this point he thinks birdie could still get him into a playoff. He doesn't. Rye has not made birdie yet. Still a par. Is solo second and a shitload of points as we're getting ready to go to the playoffs. Kuchar goes over and tells the rules official, "I'm not playing anymore. I'm marking my ball and I'm coming back to finish on Monday." As Luke Clanton played 39 holes today. Cooch, the incredible effort that went into the entire ground staff, the tour, everything that goes into getting a tournament in on a Sunday night, which is a massive thing. I want DJ you to expand a little bit on this. Kuchar says, "I'm not doing it. I'm marking my ball and I'm coming back by myself on Monday to maybe scratch out a par and save myself $58,000.
which I didn't know you could do, right? I mean,
I did
there's a
not know
lot
that
of
either.
back in
Well, they
my
said they simulated the air horn going off. They didn't actually blow it because it was just the two groups out there. So they did a
They
virtual
it
air
didn't blow
horn.
like nobody would actually do this. We do not need a horn.
They blew it in the metaverse.
millions of simulations. The same guy running the simulations on all the churn
Tyler
rate of all the
Tyler the creator, Dennis. God, what a like I thought they were joking at first. They were
I
saying
thought
Kuchar is refusing to play his shot.
I saw
Kuchar's re-
I thought he was withdrawing. When he was reaching down for his ball, I thought he was like, dude, I'm
Oh,
done.
you know what, guys? I'm holding this up. Greyserman, go try to make your birdie. I'll get out of the way. No, no. I'm just
I'm dead serious. That's what flashed in my head was like,
no, same. Me
that
too.
he was like, you know what? The only thing that mattered to me was my FedEx Cup playoff streak. And now that I'm eliminated, I'm walking off and I'm never playing another round of golf. I'm done. But no, he's coming back on Monday. Yeah.
That's truly when they said, you know what, he will not play golf again. I was like, whoa, he's retiring, like in the middle of the fairway. Or I guess left rough.
or it's a pace of play protest of some sort.
That's what cannot be discounted. And I don't know. Gosh, I've just had spiraling here. I feel like I've had when I worked for the tour, I had very, very few interactions with Matt Kuchar. None of this is representative of him as a person. I don't want to pretend like it is. But those interactions were very weird. And he's just a very like kooky, kind of aloof type of guy. I think I told the Fred Griffey Jr. story in my gin and tonic. It's just always like there. You can go back and look at this somewhere. I used to do these like Google Hangouts all the time back when like that product first launched, and I think Google wanted us to do them. I'd like get these players to come in for video chats, and there's one where Kuchar just like bombs in, and he like doesn't really know how the internet works, and he's trying to like he won't answer any of my questions, so he just keeps asking like, wait, like where are you? Like, are you on site, or are we just on the line here? And he just keeps anyways, very weird guy. So TC, I'm split 50-50 on, is this a slow play protest? Like, you guys, I cannot believe you could not finish this. I can't believe Aaron Rise doing his whole entire fucking Vision 54 thing in the middle of this fairway. I'm just going to bomb it into him, and then I'm going to refuse to play. And PGA Tour, you could have figured this out over the last 18 hours. You didn't do it. So I'm going to make you guys all come back. Or if he's just like, no, I mean, what are you talking about? It's 50 grand. Like, of course I'm not going to play. Like, I don't know which one of those I'm leaning on.
That's
more.
the best part.
It's hilarious. I've never seen anything like unprecedented stuff.
Isn't that what isn't like 50 grand what he ended up having the bonus he ended up paying L2 can?
That's
like,
interesting.
Is it truly just like, well, I'm now that's equal to 58K with inflation from when that happened. Like, yo, I'm getting this back.
Porath tweeted,
God,
he may be making a play for some extra free Wyndham rewards points. They're probably staying at a Wyndham property this week for free, and could just be trying to top up.
I bet he sent a proxy to the airport to see if he could get a voucher to move his flight back. We get $1,000 voucher to move back into the Monday.
I was trying to dig in and figure out like what this means. Obviously, they're not going to like open the gates for fans, so that means you don't have ropes, and that means you don't have marshals, and that means you don't have transportation. So it's not like the whole entire tournament needs to come back. But still, I mean, if you think about it, I think the big thing is you guys have seen like every Monday after a PGA Tour event, they always have the big kind of shotgun corporate outing. I assume they got to move that back. There's probably some PGA Tour bylaw that's like you can't tee off before a certain time.
Maybe Cooch just joins the 18A group.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Is like there's no fans, but it's just gonna be all these like CEOs and just like random marketing people who are just gonna be, I assume, just like crowded around the 18th green with no marshals there, just like waiting to high five him and shake his hand. I don't know. It'd be kind of a wild scene. I would say like go, if you can, like go try to get in there. But I'm dying to see it. I need to see what it looks like. It kind of reminds me of like the TC, or I guess both of us, when we went to the COVID round at the Players. Remember like the Wednesday night when everything kind of popped off with COVID and the NBA canceled its season, and then the tour was like, yeah, Thursday, like gates open at 7 a.m. I was like, well, of course we're gonna go see this. This is like the once in a lifetime thing. It's kind of how I feel about this Greensboro situation. Like, God, I'm so jealous.
He's in the middle of the woods.
Yeah, he's just way left. He's just gonna like chop out. God,
And
so good.
for those that like want to say like, well, maybe for a $58,000 difference, it's worth just coming back the next day when you're going to be stuck there no matter what. Max Greyserman grinded out a par after hitting in the bunker there in the dark, and the difference between second and tied for third was probably close to like 300K for him. I mean, he ended up making 861K. The guys that tied third made 466, but if he would have dropped back into if it had been a T2, it would have cost him a lot of money, right? And he just went right through it and made the par. Like he just went.
And he's
and
a
did it.
rookie. And he did it, and like he did it when his mind's probably in a blender.
Yeah.
And
He's now in the top 50. Like if he'd have fallen back
Yeah.
into a tie for second, he would have fallen out of the top 50, which he's got another week next week. He played himself into the playoffs, but it's really incredible. And Kuchar's not going to make the playoffs either way. Like it's not like his season's on the line.
This is what broke his streak.
This is the last thing he's going to do.
Not going down without a fight. He's probably lobbying for some sort of Aaron Rise slow play thing.
You know what this reminds me of? The
penalty.
TC like never surrender. TC loses a match 6-4, and he just keeps playing the match the rest of the way and tries to lose it 2 down. This is kind of like what Kuchar's got going right now.
I just
do they
gotta
have to
shot?
open up player dining tomorrow?
That's what I'm
And,
saying,
like have
right?
like the line caught salmon or the organic grass fed meat.
I mean, I feel like a guy that's, putting up the stink over it, notoriously been a little stingy with the cash. I got to imagine he's trying to squeeze out another player dining meal out of this. I don't think he's stopping for a bacon, egg, and Gouda at Starbucks on the way there. I'm sure he's got a process. And then, they got to open up the range. They got to keep ShotLink. I would imagine like the ShotLink trucks, they're probably trying to pack all that shit up tonight, put it on the truck, have all those guys roll out to Memphis. But you got to keep, it's crazy, man. Crazy. So funny.
Which
I still can't believe he hit into the group on 18. The guy was
going to hit him.
Rye was like doing his 2-minute routine, and in the middle of that, and Kuchar just fucking sails one into him.
Imagine what if he would have just hit Rye in the back. I mean, it's just,
I honestly,
what ifs.
Another thought was like, I hit it 160 miles an hour. Like I can't reach anybody. Unless there's a cutoff man out there.
Except Aaron Rye.
Yeah, that's true.
Aaron Rye might be the only guy he could catch. Oh my god!
And then I mean, Kuchar he looked gassed the whole time too. Like he was, they played like bits of 3 rounds today. They played like some guys had to finish up their second round this morning. Kuchar then goes out, plays all of round 3, all of round 4. He's 47 years old. Looked like he'd just been through like a grueling, 36-hole final with like one of the young bucks at the club, and needs needs an IV or something afterwards.
God, the leaderboard is just hilarious. T12, 17 holes through. He's got one half of a hole to play. Not that I hate to overshadow Aaron Rye's win. This has been the
Oh, yeah, let's talk Rye, because that was a great round of golf. Great tournament, 65, 65, 68, 64. But bogey free today, and I thought when he didn't birdie 15, I was thinking, all right, Greyserman's going to come back and birdie 17 or birdie 18 and get this thing done. And the 4-putt obviously happened with Greyserman, and then I don't know, Rise approach into 18. Like we didn't see
such a good shot.
We didn't see a whole lot of guys down the stretch other than Cam Young really get that thing in there close, and he just flushed it.
Rise having such a good summer.
Unbelievable.
Such a good summer. And it's listen, this is well documented because he keeps playing well. We keep talking about it. Mucho not my thing to watch. Seems like an awesome guy. Cool story. But I mean, he has gone T2 at the Rocket Mortgage, T7 John Deere, T4 at the Scottish, T75 at the Open, and then wins this week. I mean, it's a crazy heater. And he just seems like such a guy that gets, that old cliche, just who gets the most out of their talent. He hits it kind of nowhere, but just maximizes every little square inch of the game, and clearly very into the process, TC, which, you and I got to respect as much as we might not like how it looks. It's just what an impressive victory. Impressive victory.
I mean, he was 8.75 shots gained on the field in approach play this week.
Yeah,
just outrageously good. Proper Donald Ross course. Like you had to hit it in the fairway. That rough was lush this weekend after all that rain.
This is prior to today. Rye has been the 11th best player in the world since like June 24th, since like the end of June, basically since Rocket Mortgage, like the start of his hot run. I bet I could go back even farther because he had a good U.S. Open, and he would still be well represented near the very top. Like it's been a very sustained run of successful golf, and like correct me if I'm wrong. If you go back to June 10th, he's the 5th best player anywhere in the world in strokes gained.
Which this might be the play. Well, yeah, the strokes gained is, I know that kind of flattens everything out like tour to tour and is apples to apples, but
Not
it's
true strokes gained.
no, I'm saying
Yeah,
in a good way, like in a good way. But it is kind of funny. We were talking on Slack today about how the PGA Tour just has a weird issue with all of its stats now, with so many of these events just being like, there's very clearly kind of the mule driving events and the big signature events, and like combining all of those up into some of these antiquated stats is just a really funny thing. Like I was watching the Chad Ramey drive by, and no offense to Chad Ramey at all, seems like a great guy as well. But I was like, man, I feel like I've seen this a lot. And so I was looking at the final round scoring average stuff, which he's not good at. But it is just funny to see, Rafa Campos playing a bunch of Birdie Fest events up there with Scotty Scheffler, and putting their final round scoring average kind of apples to apples is like, guys, we just need 2 tours. Because I think that's almost like my big takeaway from today is on a day like when the finish is that good, I didn't miss anybody that wasn't there. If you just tell me like, hey, here's what the sandbox is, so to speak, that was unintentional. But here's the sandbox for this week, which is,
we're playing on this beach.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out kind of who is trying to get promoted and who is going to be left behind. I think the stakes are pretty clear, and it's still just as captivating. Maybe not just as captivating, but it's captivating in a different way when you're not trying to constantly tell me, what we just watched is the same as Riviera or Bay Hill or Memorial or, whatever.
Fast mea culpa. I was not sorting properly. I was only looking at guys within the Wyndham field. Rye's been the 21st best player since June 10th.
Still,
so that's 2 months.
I
2
don't
months.
think that
not
changes
5th, not 5th,
it.
but 21st.
Yeah.
But
no, Deej, I'm with you. I think like let's not pretend like this event's not different or that John Deere's not different. It is, and like he just earned a place at the big table. See at the table. Like
Exactly.
he's in the top 50 now. He gets to go play all the Siggy no cut events and do that. Like, man, I wanna like Rye. I even like I like his swing. I like his story. I like what he's about. I can't get down with the whole iron. I can't get down with the iron covers. I don't care the story behind it. I just can't get down with it, and I can't get down with the pace and the pre-shot routine. And
to say nothing of the gloves.
The gloves are fine. My Uncle Juice wore black gloves.
Yeah, find a new slant. Correct me if I'm wrong. Rye's a graduate of the top 10 on the Euro Tour, DP World Tour, getting PGA Tour status. Yes. Correct? Yeah. Like that's a success story there of like, bringing talent over. I mean, I know a lot of fans of the DP World Tour don't think it's the best thing in the world to ship out, the 10 top winners, but like a big thing like with Pelly was like, dude, my job is to provide the best possible career path for our members, for the players, right? And giving them opportunities to graduate into a field where they can go compete against not a ton of the top players in the world and win 1.4 million is creating that opportunity. And he's a product of that success. So congratulations to him on that.
And I think some of the, the top 50, I guess that'll all sort out after the first round of the playoffs. But I saw you had a tweet today that was kind of spelling out basically who moved in from last year and who moved out from last year. And I took that. I mean, I know there's the Hovland and Spieth, and there's some of the still, Hovland gets it. Well, sorry.
We'll get into that section. Yeah, okay. we got a whole, we'll do a whole little look into that because I do find it interesting. For as much as people have cooked up a storm about the whole thing, it's like, it's kind of working out. They said it was going to, but
totally.
We'll get into that.
I always enjoy
lumping that together as kind of co-dubs, I think, for the system in general.
I always like this tournament as a season ender or like regular season ender because I feel like it's so agnostic as to skill set or as to, you got to drive it in the fairway. You can lay back off the tee if you want to. You got to hit your irons well. You got to putt well to win anywhere, right? But Rye hit I think 43 of 56 fairways this week, and he hit 82% of his greens. Missed 13 greens all week.
That's so many.
Really freaking good. But it's like a Donald Ross golf course. Can't fake it. You got to hit the ball close. Like you got to control your spin today with the greens, sucking back in spots. They were still like surprisingly firm though too. So I don't know.
I like this
This
course.
this event always ends up just leaving a good taste in my mouth of
Well,
like, you know what? Like, I wish there were more PGA Tour events on courses like this.
Well, and they did a good job. I felt like today of showing like the slopes and the elevation change of a lot of the shots and like the uneven lies that you're dealing with throughout this course. And the greens are so severe, and it makes the short putts really interesting. I mean, what happened with Greyserman on 16 was a result of Donald Ross greens, like that what's the par three on the back that all the balls roll all the way off of? Super long par three on the back. I don't have that in front of me, but
12.
12. Like,
12,
dudes, you
yeah.
can land it. If you land it in the middle of the green on that slope, it's coming all the way back off the front of the green. Like, there's just a lot more dramatic stuff that can happen. And that's as soft as it possibly can be, right? I mean, we had 6 inches of rain in the early part of this week. And, I don't love watching thick ass Bermuda, but it's a little more fun when it's not an all driver course, right? And it's,
Exactly.
I don't know. For everyone that says we just hate on every golf course, like, no, we don't. I mean, there's good ones, there's average ones, and there's bad ones. I'd put this slightly above average golf course in the PGA Tour.
You mentioned the 6 inches of rain thing, and I know we already talked about it, but it just cannot be overstated how much this entire just crew and team got punched in the dick all week. All week. And now it's finally like, you know what, man? We did it. We got through it. They're gonna finish. This is incredible. And then just for those people that have to come back tomorrow, like,
They should not mow. They should not mow the course in the
no,
morning
for
for him.
sure.
Absolutely
Oh,
not mow it.
I would like somebody needs to do an oral history of this.
For
Don't
sure.
mow the fair. Don't mow the rougher fairways, but mow the green down to like make it a 15 with that slope. So he's got to putt on basically a ruined 18th
Or
green.
just fucking scalp it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be good too.
Uh,
This feels like it's
yeah.
gonna go in that pantheon of the Ken Duke 65. Just those little moments that you feel like you shouldn't, they just become larger than life. I feel like the 2024 Wyndham is just entered that pantheon.
Greyserman.
What Matt's offered is fair.
Greyserman, man, I feel bad for him at this point. After holing out on 13, and listen, it was a bad drive on 14, but it does just stink when a ball that's not that far offline hits a cart path and goes out of bounds. That's not good architecture. That's not good. So many clubs over the course of many years have added cart paths that have gotten too close to fairways, and the rest of what happened, I think, was safely his fault. But that was a really harsh punishment for an offline tee shot and really bad break. And I don't know, I'm gutted for him. As 23rd start on the PGA Tour, 29-year-old, like, had a very, very, very good chance. He was minus 3,000, I think, to win at one point today, and it's also just a different scale of, like, yeah, it's fair to say he choked, but like when you're playing that much golf in one day, like, you're gonna hit a wall, right? It's about how you handle it, of course, and he just hit a wall at the worst possible moment. Playing that final group has to suck too, of just how much waiting you have to do and wondering if you're going to finish as an extra layer of stress in the whole thing.
He's a quick player too.
Yeah.
Like he was, you could tell the pace of play stuff, and he was fighting through it. Like you said, in total cruise control. It was pretty offline, the drive. He got unlucky with it, but that's the rub of the green. I think where the most befuddling part was just the layup into the bunker.
Yeah.
Where it's like, man, like how does your caddy not, I mean, that's got to be like the first rule of caddying. Like, all right, if you're gonna lay up, and like give him a club, or make sure that he knows this is your run out to that bunker. Under no circumstances do we get within 20 yards of it.
And calm him down, right? He's kind of rushing
Yeah.
probably at that point, and that was really tough. The putting on 16 was, I had to look away when he had the short putt on 17 because at those two, I mean, 3 putting from 3 feet 4 inches when
It's
you're
crazy. He had a 4 putt, and he still gained 6.4 shots on the greens all week.
Really.
Like, he putted so well
So
this
good.
week, and props to him for, I mean, he handled it like he didn't change his composure down the stretch after the quad. He birdies the next hole. Obviously he makes the 4 putt on 16, and then class act on 17 and 18, and finishes, gets up and down on 18, which was big for him, and finishes with a smile on his face, and just kind of rolling with the punches. So I thought that showed a lot about his character in his class.
And a serious rookie year too. I mean, I know one of these was the
Yeah.
Zurich, but third top 5 of the year as a rookie is very impressive. It's kind of fun. I mean, it takes a lot of work on the fan side, I think, to learn who these guys are and to seek out watching them. But once you do, I mean, I'm much more interested now to watch him against Scotty Scheffler and Xander and all these guys once we get into the playoffs this week. Once you kind of fold the two tours together, I think it gets a lot more compelling when you have guys like this. And I know a lot of these guys are I know a lot of these guys are pretty anonymous and a lot of them are kind of coming off the tour player factory. Doing a little digging, his story's crazy, man. It's really cool with his parents. I don't know if you guys looked into any of that, but both his parents were Soviet refugees who left the Soviet Union in the 80s. Didn't know each other, both wound up in New Jersey, met at college. His dad got 4 degrees, including a PhD, became a professor at Columbia, and then Greyserman, his mom was a tennis player at Rutgers, I think, and Greyserman, they got him into golf when he was a kid, and yeah, went to go play at Duke, and now is kind of doing it, man. So it's I don't know. There's if you as a fan are able to kind of take a little bit of time to peel back the layer, I think it's a little frustrating that fans usually have to do a lot of that work on their own. But that's another story for another day. But props to Max Greyserman because that's a really cool 2 tournaments back to back. I mean, the moment at 3M was really cool.
Yeah.
Going for it on that last hole, and then this was certainly memorable, if nothing else.
And it's
He had
also
a T21 at US Open
Yeah.
too, like played really well there. And he's had, this is like, I think his 6th top 35 finish in a row. So he's closing the year in style and he's inside the top 50 now.
Yep.
it's a Ryan and Greyserman are the example of like, dude, there's some points and money available to get into the playoffs and to get in all the Siggy events for next year. Like the path is there, man. Play some good golf against some fields that are not all of the best players in the world, and you're going to get to play with all the best players in the world. That's where we'll get into some of that. Just to follow up, we got a tweet here from Porter. So according to some folks that Doug Bell, ESPN, spoke with, Kuchar was frustrated nobody alerted him about the golfers in the fairway on 18 before he hit into them, because he couldn't see them. So he just wouldn't hit a shot after that. A true "you can't fire me, I quit" situation. That doesn't make any more sense. That makes no more sense.
They were waiting all day, right?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, I
so
don't
just
know why
mad at a volunteer that didn't tell him there was people in the fairway up there. So I'm making everybody come back tomorrow. That's worse. That is 100% making it worse.
God, it's so good.
Like, how many times has Matt Kuchar played this event in his career, you think?
I mean,
I don't want to do this.
15 probably.
That's going to make me
Here,
depressed.
I'll look. I mean, like, just think about that. Of all the times that he's played this event, this golf course, knowing that, hey, on 18 you can't see the guys down the hill. Like, that's insane.
Yeah. Luke Clanton, another top 5 finish for him. The amateur, he is taking a PJ up to Hazeltine probably as we speak. Ready to play the U.S. Amateur this week. What a freaking run he's had playing on the bunch of sponsor exemptions this year on the PGA Tour. Obviously, not eligible for the playoffs as not being a member. But it looked like at one point today he was going to win. He made a lot of bogeys this week. He made 10 bogeys, but finished solo 5th and shot 14 under par. So shout out to him. He's been fun to watch, man. That guy moves it, and he's lit some mules on fire this summer stretch. Like, you guys want to complain about things, you better go out and beat the amateurs that are playing against you pretty consistently.
By the way, Kuchar's played it's only his 3rd appearance at this.
He hasn't needed it. He's always making the playoffs.
That's right. So, he's trying to top up here at the end of the year. But yes, the Clanton PGA Tour U mule eradication program seems to be working quite well.
By my count, there was only one change in the top 70 from this final week. Usually it is a little bit of a grind of guys getting in and out the playoffs, but number 72 through 79 all missed the playoffs this past week. Andrew Putnam, Kurt Kitayama, Luke List, Lucas Glover, Lee Hodges, and Adam Schenk. Sorry, they all missed the cut this past week, so obviously did not move up. But Victor Perez moved up into the playoffs, and who fell out? Sorry, who finished 71? Davis Riley ended up falling out, finishing 71st.
Victor Perez looking
couple
looking
weeks
good
for him.
For a Ryder Cup slot next year if he keeps this up and can it should be a pretty good course for him next week too in Memphis. So we'll see.
Joe Highsmith made his third ace of the season today, TC.
That's
this
crazy.
Yeah.
This weekend, third ace of the season. That's truly wild, man. I just put that in there just 'cause it was like, man, you made 3 aces on the PGA Tour this year. That's a lot. And it's crazy too, because like I follow a lot of golf. I know pretty much every guy coming off Korn Ferry Tour. I could probably go 70 or 80 deep on the Korn Ferry Tour right now. I have no idea who Joe Highsmith is. Like zero clue. That's on me. Just not familiar with this game.
This next segment presented by BMW, proud title sponsor of the BMW Championship since the inception of the FedEx Cup playoffs, as well as the official vehicle of no laying up. They are looking forward to welcoming the top 50 players in the FedEx Cup to Castle Pines Golf Club in Denver in 2 weeks. So I think I've done this right. I've done with the adjustments. I tweeted this out earlier, but I checked in on this in June where we said the original models the PGA Tour had for the top 50, which is whoever makes the BMW Championship this year will be exempt into all the signature events next year. They were modeling out that they were estimating 40% churn, meaning 18 of the 50 spots will get replaced. And as of today, there were 17 replaced, and I think it is now flipped over to 18 new guys that will be in the field and 17 that have cycled out. The 18th guy in that is Tyrrell Hatton, who was in but left for live in January, so that is a little bit complicated, but it is a perfectly modeled out thing as of now. There's one more week to go, obviously, with Memphis, but the 18 guys that have played their way into the top 50 are Ludwig Oberg, Shane Lowry, Matthew Pavon, Justin Thomas, Stephen Yeager, Thomas Dietrich, Will Zalatoris, Akshay Bhatia, Christian Bezadenhout, Taylor Pendrith, Big Shot Bob McIntyre, Jake Knapp, Austin Eckroat, Billy Horschel, Alex Noren, Davis Thompson, Adam Scott, and Max Greyserman with that up and down on the 18th hole today. He is in 47th, I believe.
Which, I didn't want to step on this earlier, but that's a dub. I don't know. Look at that list of names. That feels like, I'll go to battle with that.
A lot of variety.
Yeah, that's fun. That's fun. I think that's good stuff.
Notable name
not moving in TC is Joe Highsmith. I just pulled up his page as you were talking about. This guy stinks. Just straight up.
Was going to say a notable name that did not move up into the list, Lonto Griffin, who was, of course, complaining a lot about the points distribution and the closed shop. One of many guys were complaining about the closed shop. But again, that's why at every stop this year where we've had a chance to be like, dude, this is possible. A lot of people have done that. I just list off the 18 guys. The 17 guys that are currently outside the top 50, Victor Hovland, Adam Schenk. These were guys that were in the top 50 last year that have fallen out despite having exemptions into all of the signature events this past year.
And quick preface, if you're inside the top 30 in the OWGR, it doesn't matter if you fall out. You still get into this.
As of the time of the events, though, right? Yeah. It's not.
Right.
It's
true.
not. I don't think it's as of.
Wow, is that true? Yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah.
Shoot. Yeah, I didn't think about that.
It's Victor Hovland, Adam Schenk, Ricky Fowler, Lucas Glover, Jordan Spieth, Emiliano Grillo, Ryan Moore, Justin Rose, Andrew Putnam, Kurt Kitayama, Adam Svensson, Lee Hodges, Seamus Power, Eric, country music sensation Eric Cole, might have overdone the tour. I know. Brendan Todd, Patrick Rogers, and Harris English was the guy that got bumped out today into the 51st spot. A lot of those guys that are listed, like English is 51st, Rogers is 53rd, Cole's 54th, Rose 55th, Hovland 57th, going into a playoff event where a lot of points are going to be available. It is not set in stone. Spieth is 63rd, and his season is obviously not done. So it's not over for a lot of these guys to get in. A lot of these guys that you mentioned, Deej, are going to be some of these guys at least will have a very good chance of being in the top 30 of the OWGR and get exemptions into these. And also a lot of these guys would be eligible for these all-important sponsor exemptions if Webb is not hoovering them up.
I think really just Hovland, right? I mean, Jordan's, I think, down like 39 or something. Ricky's way off the planet. I think Hovland might be the only one that's even kind of close. And who knows what's going on with, Jordan's wrist. I know we'll get to that later, but he might be a different looking year. Although, like you said, with the sponsor exemptions, I guess that kind of covers everything up.
God, it is so funny to look at the leaderboard right now and just the play has been suspended at the Wyndham Championship.
Did the tour? I haven't even seen. Okay, yeah, they're giving him the trophy, That was one thing I was wondering, like, are they going to, like, have the trophy ceremony when the tournament is not technically over? But,
I mean, think about all the little downstream things too. Like they can't do all the little procedural things that they normally do tonight. They can't. They probably can't finalize the payouts. It's incredible.
So good.
they definitely can't finalize the payouts,
Yeah, yeah.
until he's sold out. So, we also
I do want to give a shout out to country music sensation Eric Cole. Finished T7 this week, along with up and coming opening act Trace Crow as well.
they might have to
He finished
flip-flop.
54th, but yeah, Eric Cole, he's coming back around.
Trace
Those
Crow
two
might be
were I'm sorry to get on my soapbox. Those two were always solo acts, man, and as soon as they tried to match up, they were both worse off for it. So I good riddance, I think. Let's go our separate ways and just get this thing under control.
And then Billy kept up his good play with a T7, followed by I think he was more excited
yeah.
that Aaron Rai won than Aaron Rai was.
What a wild pairing. That's just electric factory. I love it.
This is, of course, 99% a joke. Does Billy hate Max Greyserman or something? Like, he was just rooting so hard for Aaron Rai. He was practically carrying him across the
I
finish
think
line.
Rai moved. I think Rai lives in Jax or Ponte Vedra now, so
Does
I
he
think they
really?
may play together a little bit. Yeah,
Okay.
but I feel like Billy just rides for whoever
Is with him.
he played with or
Yeah.
whoever he knows or whatever. He was just hugs and hand pounds
Yeah.
all day. He was talking about a vodka soda or a beer at the turn at one point.
They might have been talking footy, you know? Aaron Rice, an English guy. Billy's over there all the time watching soccer matches. Who knows?
Yeah, Aaron's from Wolverhampton.
Yeah.
We have a film room also coming out from Castle Pines with TC and Roger Steele playing the course. That video made me want to play that place immediately. I can't wait to watch the pros play that. Just at altitude, massive elevation
Yeah.
changes. It's
I'm stoked to see them have to use their minds.
yeah.
It's like Chapultepec. I mean, it's very different from Chapultepec, but it's like Chapultepec in that they have to do all sorts of crazy equations and like it should be a complete electric factory down the stretch. I just want to see leads change hands down the stretch, which I feel like happens less and less because the driver head is so much easier to hit now and the ball doesn't spin as much. We can get more of that volatility on Sundays. PGA Tour golf is so fun to watch.
Yeah. Jordan Spieth, the wrist doesn't sound great, guys. Just reading some quotes from his press conference this year. Earlier this week, he said it's been a frustrating year because it's been maybe my best driving year ever. Then the clubs that I make the most impact into the ground with, which normally are my bread and butter, have been pretty off. It's not hurting, but subconsciously it's hard not to look at the numbers and think this isn't a coincidence. He said probably going to have to do something about it in the off season. I'm going to pretend nothing's happening, fully trust it, given that I'll be able to get it fixed. And I know there's a lot of golfers that have similar situations that have come back better than ever. He said, I also said, I'd like to think hopefully I have 10 to 15 years of prime and some of my best golf left. So I'll be optimistic about the process, but I'm not quite sure exactly what I'll do and where I'll do it. But unfortunately, something kind of has to get done. And I've never experienced anything like this before. Just trying to take my time, making sure things are done right at the right time. A lot of words to say. I don't really know other than like, and I know nobody really actually cares about the President's Cup. But are we crossing off President's Cup for Spieth? I mean, bad golf
I mean,
and
would he qualify anyway?
no, but a captain's pick.
Yeah.
I'm saying like,
Oh,
are you taking him on the team or is he going to go have surgery as soon
I
as the
feel like he
season's
should
over?
have shut it down right after the British Open. Just said, "Hey, let's get this thing right. Let's have surgery." And now it's like the longer he draws it out, the longer his rehab's going to stretch into next year. And if he needs to kind of come out of the gates
I'm
firing next year to get more,
Especially
I'm sure
well,
that top 50 though, man. Like I'm sure he doesn't want to have sponsors exemptions into all those big events next year.
I'm sure he doesn't either, but I also think getting early sponsor exemptions with,
yeah, AT
Kapalua
and
and
T.
Riv and Pebble, and I mean, those are kind of places that he feeds, right? More so certainly than the Bay Hills and Memorials and places like that. So
Yeah.
I think getting off to a good start seems like I don't even know what the rehab would be on something like that. I don't even know if you have to have like full on wrist surgery. I don't know if you'd have time to even get back for those. I don't know. Actually,
Because it seems like it's
Greyserman, I
been
think
like this
had
all
wrist
year.
surgery too.
Yeah,
Like I think that was another thing
years ago.
he was going through. Um, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not
It
fun.
just seems like like even this year, it's like, all right, like if it was this bad, like why not take like a major medical, have surgery,
Yeah.
get it right, and then have some starts to play with next year where you don't really have to back yourself into a corner. So And then, like, it's tough too. Just going back to Greyserman as well, like, I think an even more impressive thing about his season this year, and hats off to Tyler, the creator, for all his simulations and that sort of thing. I will say the one
Get
thing that
one of
they
those
kind of
one of those golf hats.
the one thing that they kind of whiffed on was how many guys were going to start playing in like some of the mule events, where a rookie like Max Grazerman, like, it's really freaking hard to keep your two. Like, I would say there's probably a smaller percentage of rookies this year that graduated from Q school or Corn Ferry Tour school that are going to keep their card, because there was like no starts to go around the first half of the year,
Yeah.
right? So that makes it more impressive for Grazerman, but I think that's where I think it's like it's even more impressive for Spieth, or important for Spieth, to really, really play well coming out of the gates next year, to set the rest of his season up so he doesn't have to go play 3M or shit like that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Which I mean, another thing though is like, even if you can land a couple sponsors exemptions to start the part of the year, that doesn't like playing your way through the rest of this of the into the all the events is difficult, right? It's not like you just
Yeah.
get up into unless you get in the world ranking way up there.
Or the
It,
Aon Swing 5 and the
that's
next 10 and all that stuff. They've thought about this. Tyler, the creator's got on all this stuff.
Which I did think it stunk this week that the Comcast Business top 10, there wasn't a single move inside or outside the top 20.
nobody plays.
Nobody played, nobody got in. And also, we went all the way this time. Cam Young finished T22.
Yeah.
That was one of the worst putting performances I've ever
So
seen
bad.
today. It was like he was number 1 for the week in strokes gained off the tee, gained almost 5 shots off the tee. He was 60th in strokes gained putting for the week, lost over 2.5, lost 5 shots on the greens today.
66 today on the greens,
Eesh.
or in round 4, I should say. Today is expanded beyond that. But
So that's tough to see. We got to get him figured out. He's too good to be doing this stuff.
yeah, that was easily the worst in the field on this Sunday, and the Sundays have become a thing. As golf enthusiasts, we've come to appreciate the tradition of celebrating a round of golf with a round of cocktails at the 19th hole. We are teaming up with Blade and Bow Kentucky Straight Bourbon because they elevate those celebrations, honoring the legacy of the golf clubhouse. Crafted with the same dedication and skill as the perfect swing, Blade and Bow is more than just a whiskey. It's a testament to craftsmanship and tradition. It offers the opportunity for a refined golf experience on and off the green. And what better way to toast 18 holes than with a signature cocktail at the 19th? The Kentucky Caddy, a favorite of professional golfer and fellow Blade and Bow bourbon lover Wyndham Clark, is a blend of fresh lemonade, peach tea, mint, and Blade and Bow served over ice. It's the perfect companion for celebratory moments at the 19th hole. Visit bladeandbowwhiskey.com to discover more about the premium bourbon and savor every moment responsibly. Blade and Bow Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, 45.5% alcohol by volume, Stitzel Weller Distilling Company, Louisville, Kentucky. Please drink responsibly.
I had a couple Blade and Bow old fashions responsibly this weekend. Solly, watching my Brewers beat the shit out of your Reds.
Wow.
Really,
Here I
really
was.
delightful caps to the evening.
I had it in the agenda to congratulate you on winning 2 out of 3, and I will
I'm
no
sure.
longer be doing that. That's
Happy Skeens Day, though,
if you're
Solly.
gonna
How did
do
it
that.
go?
It didn't go great. It didn't go great. I'm still whooping DJ Pie's ass, but we're fine. Lot going on in fantasy baseball. We're not going to do that just yet because we have some Olympic golf.
Stay tuned for that on Solly's channel. That video will be on Solly's channel.
This is the main event. The Olympic golf was awesome.
Yeah, we were planning to talk about this first, but Wyndham just had such a hysterical finish that we had to flow our giggly momentum right into this one. But Lydia Ko, this wrapped up on Saturday, of course. Lydia Ko wins the gold medal. She led by as much as 5 in the final round, went into the back 9 with a 4-shot lead, just like Jon Rahm did, but made a very bizarre double bogey from the middle of the fairway on the 13th, 135 yards out, dumped one in the water. Got a little nervy there down the stretch, but she played mistake-free, rolled in a birdie after laying up on the 18th hole. The 18th played as a par 5 for the ladies. Played it as a 3-shot hole the entire way. Hit a nice wedge in from 76 yards. Ended up winning by 2 over Esther Hinslet from Germany. And Janet Lin won the bronze medal. This, of course, put Lydia Ko into the Hall of Fame, her 27th Hall of Fame point. Trivia question. How many Hall of Famers are there on the LPGA? Do you guys know this?
Not a lot, right?
Gosh, I don't know. 12.
I'd say 19.
There's 28, but that's still not a lot. it counted technically like 27 or maybe more than that because they inducted a bunch of the founders in that was like not necessarily based on their career. But yeah, she's said the Beth Ann Nichols article had Lydia listed as the 28th person to be into the Hall of Fame, which is kind of crazy. Wins the gold after winning bronze in Japan and silver in Rio. She's got the complete set. She has lost one of the medals was in a playoff as well. So even over the 72nd holes, she was not. I think maybe in Rio that was a playoff. She said, for it to have happened here at the Olympics is just unreal. I do feel like I'm like a mythical character in a story tale. It really couldn't have gotten any better than I could have imagined. I've had so many grateful things that have happened in my career so far, and this really tops it. I couldn't have asked for anything more, to be honest. We've heard enough of these quotes from players, both on the men's and women's side, that I'm curious asking you guys, does it make you view the Olympics any differently? And the next question is going to be like, where do these tournaments end up ranking? In terms of what if you were a player, what you would want to win? Does that differ on the men's and women's side? But I gotta admit, like something about as a skeptic on golf in the Olympics, there's something about that podium thing that is. I'm skeptic because like a 4-round tournament, it's the same criticisms we've had every time around of just it's same format and kind of a somewhat dull format compared to what we see week to week. But the podium thing makes it a little bit different. And just some of these quotes and both Lydia Ko and Scotty crying up there as their national anthems played it just hit a little different this go around than it has in the first two Olympics.
Yeah, I think it's definitely. I mean, I think the podium thing's sweet. I've started doing it for majors. Tommy's got several silvers, a bronze in majors. I think it's a really good way to like. I think if anything, it makes some of our best players' careers more impressive as well. Like if you look at Jack Nicklaus's career, like oh my god, he had like 18 silver medals. That's fucking crazy. Barbara, you believe this?
He had 57 total medals. He had like
So-
19 seconds and like 17 thirds or something like that.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I think it's on a great trajectory. I think as we look at Riv for 28, which again I thought they announced that like years ago, but I guess they just announced it in the lead up to this. And also, Sally, will you apologize to Le Golf National?
Absolutely not. Terrible golf course. I'm
Mm.
glad to be rid of that place all over again. It
Marco,
was.
Marco Simone, Le Golf National.
I apologize for Marco Simone. I will.
bucking.
How is it bucking? It is so bad, and you know this,
It's
TC. You know this. You are playing a bit in this, and I will not allow it. You know that
it's
place is a
sick.
disgrace. That is one of the worst designed and aesthetically and just conceptually golf course I've ever seen. Like professional golf be played on. It's so bad.
The worst.
Like the catch basins, the shapes of those greens, the shapes of the fairways, like it makes no strategic sense. It's not even that good of an
But
execution test. It's awful. It's
it makes
awful.
for fascinating viewing.
Good views for the people that are there is the only positive thing I can say about it. It's a field. Like it's a horse field. It is not even a golf course. I despise that place. I'm still so
They
mad
cut
about it.
down these trees to make this close.
TC, I'm with you on the Olympics. I think the trajectory is great. I think, Solly, it's worth revisiting why we're so skeptical and where this has come from in the past 12 years, where when we first started, it seemed like Gil Hansen built an awesome golf course and everybody, I think, was pretty psyched about it until all the players decided not to go because they basically didn't want to inconvenience themselves in the middle of a golf season. And I think we've kind of just been, digging ourselves out of that hole for a really long time. So while I guess I'll put my hand up and say I was not bullish on it back then, and now I think I am really bullish on it going forward. I'm also
Back
not
then,
gonna
they didn't want me.
yeah,
Now I'm
now I'm
hot.
not.
They all on me.
That's exactly right. You could have said it better myself, TC. But I think that it's worth just acknowledging where we started on this thing and not I'm not going to beat myself up too hard
No.
about not being optimistic about where it started from, but where it is now it's awesome, man. I mean, two great golf tournaments that were thrilling to watch, two great winners. Always fun to see kind of, some of your on the men's side, certainly, and on the women's side, one of the biggest names competing and at a place where there's more eyeballs on the sport. I mean, it's great. It kind of like feels like the Olympic golf felt like it was 10 out of 10 this year. Like, I don't really know how it could have been better other than I don't know, maybe
I got an
belly
idea.
hitting or something.
I got
Drug bust.
I got an easy idea
Drug bust.
here of look, there's when you're playing on a Sunday for 3 podium spots, 60 players don't need to be there. And I get the idea of stroke play tournament like being the pinnacle of it. Do it like you do the like the track and field events and whatever. Like have heats, have separate heats, and make it relatively easy to make it out of. Like whatever. So you end up with 30 or 25 players playing on that Sunday. Maybe you have 4 heats of 15 and 7 make it through out of each heat. But that essentially is your cut, and then it becomes like a Sunday race, right? Like that I think would add a little intrigue to the process of the early days. Like I the Sundays, the final rounds were great. I found it a slog to watch the earlier phase if you're going to play on a terrible golf course like the Golf National. But
or even the Sunday as well. Like not everybody needs to make
exactly,
the cut,
exactly.
right? Like there's no purse, there's nothing to play for. Like, oh, cool, I finished T38 in the Olympics instead of T47. Like, cool,
Yeah.
So, but that would make it more unique than a regular stroke play tournament, yet with all still the same elements.
I suppose, but like I get what you're saying. Almost having a bunch of mini cuts that make it more interesting during the week, but also I don't know. I feel the same way about the Wyndham Championship, where I'm like I wouldn't. I don't know why anybody would follow anything other than kind of 12 holes to go on Sunday.
But their whole thing is hey, how does like the reason it was stroke play to begin with was, hey, what do the biggest events in golf look like? Well, what they should have said is, well, the biggest events in golf is the Ryder Cup. This is what it looks like,
and that's where it it's hard, right? You have to do a lot of these, and we literally have given the example, right, of how it's built on top of each other and is gaining momentum, and you have to do a lot of them. Like track is a big deal, swimming is a big deal in the Olympics because it's been there forever, and like there's just equity built up amongst viewers, and it's gonna take a long ass time for golf to get there, and I doubt it will ever actually get there, especially the way they cover
also
it.
those other sports too. Nobody gives a shit about them for until every 4 years comes around, right?
And it is like. But like the Olympic basketball, which I do want to talk about at some point, was so interesting because it is different and it is about something different than the basketball that we see all the time, and that's okay, right? It's not. I don't know. I still feel like the event, or there should be an event in the Olympics that identifies the best golfing nation for men's and women, right? And like I don't. The mix thing that's been proposed, I don't think really accomplishes that. I think that's more interesting than just this stroke play thing. But if there was a separate team event also in this thing that identified who the best golfing country was, I think that'd be so sick. I think that'd be incredible. Like there's nothing like that in golf. There's the President's Cup.
Totally agree.
Is the U.S. versus the world except Europe. Cool, right, nice tour. And then the Ryder Cup is the U.S. versus Europe. Like that'd be super interesting to say, like, who is the best golfing nation. The International Crown has that LPGA, but
World Amateur Team Champion.
What's the point of the Olympics? You have the 4 majors every year. Like where do the Olympics fit in? It's only once every 4 years, but like, it's kind of the gold. It's the thing for swimming or for track and field or for gymnastics or whatever. But like it's just like this kind of weird, fun dessert kind of, or like mid meal moose bouche for golf, and it doesn't need to be. It could be a lot more fun and a lot more interesting than that.
So
right?
let me ask this: Olympic gold or the Players? Which is bigger deal to win?
I think it depends on your career, right?
Yeah.
What country you're from.
I think maybe I'm going to give the Players a slight edge right now, but I'm going to sell the Players long term, and I think an Olympic gold medal is going to only keep going up.
And and my next question was going to be: is that answer changed since Liv started, and the Players doesn't have all the best players in the world like it used to? Because I think it might for me.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, I'm struggling with the Players though. Of like, man, you get like a 5-year exemption on tour, and you can make so much money now.
But a gold medal you can also make a lot of money off of. I mean, not direct cash, but like sponsorship deal. It just becomes a whole different marketing profile you get with the gold medal. I think. I mean, I just dove into sponsorship, and maybe that's a question for a future one of those episodes of what's a gold medal worth, what's a major worth to some players, and all that. But
the Team Rose membership offering went way up after the gold medal.
Because, I think I think I'd rather have two of the a gold medal on the women's side above two of the majors, the quote unquote majors. Like,
Yeah, I mean, that goes without saying, I
okay,
think,
all
right?
right, yeah,
Yeah.
I,
Yeah, I think I'd rather have a gold medal than a players. The more I think about it,
You might say the
I think
Olympics
it's
is the
gonna look
gold
better.
standard. They could be coming for
That's
that
true.
too.
What if the PGA Tour in all of their thirst to get golf into the Olympics and
Just
to
diminishes the players.
raise the profile of it,
T-
at what cost? At
TC,
what cost,
how about
guys?
this one? Would you rather have a silver medal or win the Canadian Open?
That's a great question, Solly. Again, it depends on who we're talking about. In this case, we're talking about a very specific player. Um, I'm gonna say the silver medal because he's gonna win plenty of PGA Tour events. He's gonna win a major. I believe in him.
And you know what, TC, I wasn't on the show last week, but I said this in the comment section. I said that last week was not the week to dog Tommy for finishing one shot back of Scotty, who shot a final round 62. Like, Olympics is different. Like, you get a fucking medal for second place, right? And it's not that big of a difference, gold versus silver. As much as it is in a major being first for second, it's a different scale of judgment for that for last week. So
Yeah,
I'll
and
ride. He got up and down for that
you
on the
know,
last hole. I'll ride with you on Tommy for
he's an
last.
Olympic medalist. We wish we had the chip back on one of those holes coming in. Got a bad break.
Hey,
Rubber
we're
groove.
not going to relitigate all that. I just want to give a quick shout out to him, but
Well, let me ask you guys this. What do you think of the Hall of Fame criteria being so explicitly spelled out? And we should also mention, I think Randy and Cody, and possibly TC, I don't know if you're hopping on as well,
Yeah.
have another kind of more LPGA women's golf focused episode for later this week, because we've also had the women's AM this week too. But while we're talking about it, what do you think about the LPGA Hall of Fame, which is different than the World Golf Hall of Fame? The LPGA Hall of Fame is the one that has this very stringent criteria. It's all based on points. You get a point for each win. You get a certain number of points for a major, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Do you guys like that? Not like that? What do you think about this?
It's extremely objective. I think I dig it just because it's so different
you're
and it's
abandoning the eye test, huh? You're a data boy now. You just
Well, we
want
have the
points to
World
be
Golf
correct.
Hall of Fame too, which again, if you have
yeah.
two Hall of Fames, I don't need to tell you guys, but it's just I don't know. It's very wild. There's nothing really like it on the men's side. It always kind of makes me laugh every time I hear about it. I proposed to you guys in our Slack today if we were going to make an NLU Hall of Fame, like if you had to come up with like points for yourself. I kind of want to do this for the whole squad. TC, I know you're trying to make 5 birdies in a row more often. Maybe if you do
Yeah.
that, you do that 20 times over the rest of your career, you could really like get a point for each one
Hit
of those.
Yeah, hit 14 fairways in a round.
I think like I want to come up with a system that's just like objectively shows, you know what, this guy maximized his talent. This guy got everything. He
Like
got everything
Beach.
out of it that he
For,
could have.
for you, it's just I think it's like 10 rounds in a calendar year with no doubles,
Oh, for
no
sure.
3 putts,
And no
no
lost
lost
balls.
balls.
How many
I mean,
points
that would be
are
Herculean.
tourist sauces worth? How many points are club championships worth?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you got to win 3 tour sauce, I feel like, to even be considered. It's just we might need to work on that. Maybe that's a separate episode. NLU
it's
Hall of Fame.
harsh on the LPGA side, especially for a lot of these players that their careers don't maybe last as long as a lot of the on the men's side, or their peaks don't last as long. It's it I'll say that, but it's also like Lydia's major record for her talent is it's still a bit light. I mean, 2
Yeah.
majors, like I just she's so freaking talented. It just felt like she's going to win a lot more than that, and maybe she's not done winning them. I certainly hope not, but it's been a weird last couple of years for her. She had an incredible year 2 years ago, then last year didn't even make the playoffs, and then we don't know how long she's going to play
22nd in the
for.
world right now.
Yeah, it's just been a weird kind of up and down, but this is I mean, maybe the pressure that Hall of Fame was really weighing on her. It sounded like it was, and I think she talked a little bit about releasing that burden and how maybe that's helped her to, basically what her mom and her husband had said about it. Like you should be happy about your career either way. Like that helped release the burden of it. And I'm obviously paraphrasing that, but
I couldn't
I don't
believe
know.
hearing her talk after the round about. I think she said she watched 3 documentaries the night before. The night before the final round, she watched both parts of the Simone Biles one, and she watched the Marty Fish one. And I would just encourage people to go on and listen to her post round interview, because it was really good. Talking like crazy inspired by Simone Biles specifically, and a lot of the stuff in that documentary, and kind of similar child prodigy type of people who kind of have lost it in a very public fashion, and what you got to do to get back. And Just really interesting to hear her talk at length about that. That's wild. I love, you're always gonna win me over if you're watching docs the night before a big
I don't
tournament.
know if it was night before because I heard that line about you get to write your own ending
She
earlier in
said
the
she
week.
rewatched it the night before.
Rewatched it. Jesus.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
Well, yeah, she's 22nd in the world right now. The majors she has won. She won the ANA when it was out in the desert, and she's won the Evian. She
Ugh,
needs to win one of the 3
that's
real
tough.
majors. But then again, like, I don't know.
Her
I've got a
winning
bunch of respect for Lydia because she won at what, 17? When she was 17 on
Yeah.
the LPGA tour. I think she won a
younger than
major at
that, wasn't she?
17. She won it in 2015, and she was born in 1997. Youngest player to win 10 events on a major tour at age 18, 6 months and 2 days. So that's freaking wild. But and everybody says she's like the coolest like just the best person too. I mean, everybody that ever comes in contact with her is like, she's the real deal. Like they just, I've never heard a bad word about her. Everybody's like, yeah, she deserves every bit of positivity and success that comes her way because she treats people just wonderfully.
Yeah, sorry.
Every
She won
interaction
it.
I've had with her is that exact thing. Like it's remarkably nice person, thoughtful, remembers things. Like
Yeah.
that's not that common in men's or women's professional golf. That
She
easy.
she won on the LPGA at 15.
She's
And
won a
Yeah,
major.
so what
oh, I see.
she had won
I'm
10
sorry.
times
Yeah.
on the LPGA tour
She got to
and
number
a
1 in the
major by the time
world
she was 18.
by
She won
17. Yeah.
the Canadian Women's Open in 2012 at the age of 15. She won the following year. She went back to back at the Canadian Women's Open, which is a national open
I don't have to
at
tell you,
15 and
sorry.
16. It's insane.
That's what I was like. I was like, man, this is crazy. This women's AM final was a 17-year-old and a 15-year-old. I was like, yeah, this is crazy. And it's like, oh yeah, Lydia Ko like won 75 times when she was the age of
Yeah.
Rhiannon Maliksi, who won the U.S. Women's AM. this
And
past year.
it gets talked about all the time, but her thing about how she might not play past 30 and gonna hang it up early. I mean, the women's open is going to the old course this year, and her winning that as, maybe that almost would feel like the Tiger, kind of final Masters. I feel like, even though the career might go for another couple years, like that's a pretty good, it's a pretty good capstone.
I just keep picturing somebody's career ending, like picking the ball up like
I
Kuchar
know.
did on it.
That's what made me think of it.
What do you think
Oh,
Kuchar does tonight?
probably
Like,
just gets an
honestly, I
ice
don't even
cream
know if he
sundae.
thinks it's weird. I think he's probably like, "Oh, let's go have some ice cream, maybe go watch, CSI at the hotel. We'll
And the
get
thing
back
is,
at
I
it
was
tomorrow."
so getting ready to like dap up Kuchar. I was like, dude, what a friggin' summer of like, what a final run of golf you've had, like hanging on with all these young bucks hitting at 162 miles an hour. And then he just pulled that. Anyways, close calls for Bianca Pagdananan, Hannah Green, Amy Yang, and Miyu Yamashita were the T4 finishers. Final round 74 for Rose Zhang to finish 2 shots off the podium.
Yeah,
Disappointing
that was a
final run there.
weird final round for her. And we got to have a conversation about Rose's sunglasses. They're really bad.
I think that's the conversation.
Like, they're
I
bad.
think that's
I
it.
know. I'm
Yeah.
saying let's have it.
I think
Okay,
that's
I
it,
co-sign,
DC.
TC. I sign your petition.
Happy retirement to Mariejo Uribe, who eagled her final hole to finish T10, was overcome with emotion. That was a great way to go out. Final round 79 for Morgane Matreau from Switzerland, who was crawling out there and holding up.
Oh,
She like I guess the final group was playing on the clock since like the 4th hole or something like that, and somehow never
yeah.
got off of it, despite being timed on every shot. That was a tough finish for her. T22 finish for Nelly, including a final round 75. Been quite a weird kind of summer, basically since the U.S. Open onward for her. It has not been the same kind of vibes.
Yeah, weird to see Leona Maguire. She finished DFL 78, 79, 83, 71, which was
I'll
strange to see.
I'll forgive that on such a bad golf course.
Yeah. I was disappointed in the Swedes.
Well,
Lynn Grant, T27. Maya played well on Sunday and got it back to T10, but bummed there. And I was excited to see Esther Henseleit continue her great run of play. She's a lock to be on the European Solheim Cup team, and she'll be really good on that team.
fun having Solheim Cup back-to-back years, and it just flows right into it. All the
Careful,
memories.
TC.
Oh, TC already agreed. I trapped him.
Objection.
We
No,
got him.
This
Leading by
one
client.
time,
Got him.
Sally, this
We
one
got
time, it's
him.
very fun. You know, Azahara Munoz, she shot 78, 69,
No, we're
69,
not doing down the
69.
leaderboard. We're not doing this. It's a three.
Celine, I
there's three
did want to
places.
shout out Celine too.
Okay.
Celine came out firing and 65 and then shot 76 in the second round. Kind of a weird week for her. And Ataya. Something going on with Ataya in these final rounds. She was right there in the mix. She shot 76 on it was a Saturday final round, but final round 76. Not good.
Morgan Pressel had an unfortunate on-air incident about talking about Brooke
fucking fired up.
said, and then tried to claim that it sounded like she said an F-bomb, and I listened to that one about 8 times. It was most certainly sounded like an accidental F-bomb. I think that was just apologize and move on from that one.
Sure.
But,
So
it happens.
As someone who says a lot of accidental F-bombs, it's just, it's part of playing the game, man. It happens.
But she didn't own up to it. She was
That's
like,
what I'm
"Look,
saying.
I know that's what you thought you heard." And it's like, what? Like, just own it. Like, that's absurd.
The benefit of the doubt I'll give her is she's probably reaching back for like 2 different words and combined it into one that was that, and it was not meant for that. I don't know what she would have possibly meant, but accidentally did let that.
But even intent.
Oh,
She's
I know.
like, "Hey, I didn't intend to say that, but I said it." She said, "No, I didn't say that."
It's like, yeah, we
It's
got
only sounded like I said
gaslighting.
that. Like, that's fucking outrageous.
apologize for your F-bomb there, TC. We cannot have that here. Anything else from Olympics? We can move to again, like we said, the rest of the women's golf pod that's coming out this week. We'll have some more Olympics talk as well.
Yeah, I would just say to the Swiss, Morgan Mitreau, she didn't even finish low Swiss woman. Albane Valenzuela finished low Swiss woman. And I wouldn't send her back to the Olympics if she's going to play that slow. Like, that was one of the most egregious displays of slow play I've seen in years. It was awful. They should be ashamed. I know the Swiss are proud people.
Rianne Maliksi won 3-2 over Astris Talley, and incredibly, this is at the U.S. Women's Am. Incredibly, this was a rematch of the U.S. Junior Final just a few weeks ago, which Rianne Maliksi also won.
Also, this was Astris Talley third USGA final of the year so far.
What was the one that she won?
4-ball.
She won the 4-ball.
I think they won the 4-ball.
Yeah.
Yeah. But she was in the finals of that one too. So
it was incredible. I was second screening that one all day at Southern Hills. They got lucky in Tulsa. It's gonna be highs of 98 throughout the course of all this entire week. It was high of 83 today. I saw people out there in like long sleeves. I'm like, Tulsa, Oklahoma in August, man, that's gonna be a nightmare. Did not play as well as it did in May. Summer in Oklahoma, maybe not the best.
I thought it
possible
still looked
fit.
very
Well, that Bermuda just
very
looked
proper.
thick.
The setup was good. Greens were fiery. It was pretty windy out there one of the days, and then it rained. And then it was kind of a weird finals setup too. They played the 18-hole semis Saturday morning, and then they played the first 18 of the finals on Saturday afternoon, and then they had thunder showers and storms roll through on Sunday morning, and then they teed off Sunday afternoon there. So I think like I was stoked after the quarters. You had Anna Davis in it, you had Catherine Rowell, you had Cernusik, you had Maria Jose Marin, all them, and then Jose Marin ended up WDing from her match against Astris Talley with an injury, and kind of bummed me out there. But I mean, I need to know why her name is Asterisk.
It's
I need like personal edification there.
I believe her
it's been
mom's
bugging me.
her mom's Greek, and I believe asterisk, I don't know if it's in Greek or what, but it means little star, which I guess is the character that you also have seen, the little star in punctuation. But I think that's where it comes from. I think it's a much more normal name, maybe with the Greeks, but that was my limited research, TC, because of course I wondered the same thing.
Because I was just thinking like footnote, addendum,
sure,
parenthetical, asterisk, Taylor Gooch.
Have you guys ever seen that video that goes around of like the girls that go through the best names that would be great if they didn't have meaning behind them? Like felony. Like that'd be that's what I think of every time I see your name. It's really funny video. Like areola.
Chlamydia.
Yeah.
Anyways, that concludes our U.S. Women's AM coverage.
That is it.
No, that was it was fun. It's all I was second screening as well. It was a fun one to watch. I love when you can kind of get in a groove watching a mano match play on
Yeah.
TV. So I mean, shout out to Golf Channel for carrying that and having that on, especially on a great golf course. It's just a really cozy thing to watch. Those are underrated events to dive in on, especially when they're on world class courses.
Let's not give him too many props because like they're contractually obligated to carry
Sure,
this
of course,
channel.
of course. But they listen. They still signed the contract.
I do like them splitting the final match. So it used to be the beginnings of these matches, the final matches would not be on anything, right?
Right.
And so like splitting them so they're on an afternoon is a good thing. So
Well, guys, I don't want to get you too excited, but you know where the U.S. Women's Am is next year?
don't.
I don't.
Bandon Dunes.
Get out of here.
Kidding me?
Kind of a fun one to be kind of a fun one to go watch. I love like when you go to one of those a tournament like that, and there's a whole other golf world going on, but when you're on site at an event like that, and it kind of feels like the only thing in the world that's happening, that's a very very fun experience. So doing that at Bandon
Right?
would be a lot of fun.
Yep. Moving on, some other golf news as we wrap up with a couple other things. European Ryder Cup team has announced they're changing their qualification process. Qualifying
We
points
are.
are
We
earned
are.
using a new tournament banding structure weighted towards performances in the majors and biggest PGA Tour and DP World Tour events. Live golf tournaments remain unable to award points. This new points list replaced the world points list and European points list, which were based on world ranking points and Race to Dubai points, respectively. Obvious changes need to be made. They almost got stuck with the wrong guys on the team last year because of the European points list, and they got rid of that altogether.
Yeah, I think it's. I thought Brendan Porath and Joseph Lamagna had a good write up, good summary of it in the Friday Egg newsletter this morning. Basically saying, hey, you may not like it if you're a European tour member, but it's realistic, it's rational, it's logical, and it's better than sending a needlessly shitty team and getting blown out, right?
And it's making it a better chance to form a better team and a better chance to win, right? Like that's the way this
Yeah.
event should be, right? It's not I don't love any of the qualification for it, Like
And that ship sailed as far as the guys decamping for the PGA Tour. That ship sailed like when Sergio or Rory or like Tommy, when those guys came over here and started playing almost like nearly full time. And like there's still some stuff built in there where opposite events to Rolex events will not earn any sort of points. I don't think. So if you're playing in a PGA Tour event that's opposite a Rolex event, like a Rolex Series event on the DP World Tour, you will not receive any points for that, even if you win. Which is, so there's some things built in there, but it basically treats signature events on the PGA Tour, about 50% like more valuable than a DP World Tour kind of regular event.
Which I mean, that's kind of the whole point for captain's picks, right? Like if you're one
Yeah.
of those guys that's balling out in those events and you feel like the system's keeping you out, the captain's picks are
Yeah.
available to
And
everybody.
there's 6 captain's
Yeah,
picks now too.
exactly.
and the live guys are going to get picked. Like Rahm's
Yeah,
going to get picked, Hadden's going to get picked with those captains picks. So
yeah.
um,
Seems like a good system.
If they pay their fines, right?
that's a good point.
Have Kuchar pay their fines.
Speaking of Liv, Graeme McDowell was suspended for
Oh.
one tournament for violating Liv's anti-doping policy. He says he took Vicks nasal decongestant at Liv Nashville.
We might need to disqualify TC retroactively for some NLU events if that's on the
I've been on
banned
all
substances
sorts of
list. I
steroids.
know.
He said in his statement, he included a statement that said, Liv's anti-doping policy is designed to be thorough and transparent. Unlike some other tours, Liv enforces these rules rigorously, which made the situation challenging for me.
I love that. That's I mean, really, it just throws Graham's entire career into question.
Right.
Right?
What
Of,
was
like,
he getting away with on the PGA Tour? They weren't tested him
exactly. He was chasing distance for a few years there too, right?
with nasal
Foolishly.
decongestant.
But
What a lame, just like I don't know, man. The drama just finds me. I don't know how, I don't know why you guys keep asking me about all this drama. It's just like you don't need to type that into your statement, man. You made a whole graphic about it. It's just I don't know.
It's
Antifaldo tweeted, "Unlike the unscrupulous and lazy PGA Tour, which was never able to catch me."
Ben Coley was lighting him up on Twitter too. Like it's just all that line is a reminder that your words are purchased, right? Like that is not coming from you. That's coming from Liv, and they sign your checks, and they just have to throw that dig in no matter what. And it's just a reminder of all of that. So
It's so sick.
uh,
Just like the PE. Although I will say, setting that aside, the PGA Tour doesn't really test anymore.
correct. We've talked plenty about that, but I think it's. Well, yeah, like it's a joke of a process on the PGA Tour side. They still do P tests, right?
Yeah,
but they've diluted. Yeah, it's like I don't care if anybody's
But
on.
they don't test the driver equipment
like
nearly as much.
PEDs.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but even like I think it doesn't sound like they're testing even close to as much as far as the performance enhancing drug.
Well, how did
stuff
Ben
as
On
well.
get caught then?
I don't know. It's a good question.
Okay. I don't know who put this in the agenda here, but Blandy had another top 14 finish. Was that
He
you,
did. He
Deej?
finished 7th
Okay.
at the International Series
Okay.
in England at Fox Hills. Peter Uline just ran away with it. Blandy got his dick knocked in today a little bit.
Sorry about that.
still got the top 14.
Exactly. And they're going into Live Greenbrier next week at Big Jim's place.
Phil Mickelson had a couple statements this past week, potentially talking about hang it up. He said, I see glimpses and my teammates see glimpses of me being where I expect to be able to compete at this level, but I'm also realistic with myself. If I'm not able to, I'll step aside and let somebody come in and take the high flyers to new levels. He said, according to a transcript of Wednesday's news conference.
So good.
Who's on the high flyers?
Steely.
Yep.
Phil. That little
Boutros Tringale.
Who's the guy who won the USAM?
Ogletree?
No, the other one.
Surratt.
James Pyatt.
James Pyatt, that's right. Is he
Did he
still
win
on
the
the
USAM?
team?
I think so. I always see photos of like those two rolling around with their aviators on.
and Rose Zhang too.
That's right. And yeah. And Ben Griffin too.
Kim Tringale's on the team.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
Boutros,
Okay,
Boutros, Tringale.
Steele, Tringale, yeah. So they just need to get.
Did we get all 4 of those? That's
in Ogletree, not Pyatt.
Oh, okay, I was wrong.
Yeah.
What's Pyatt on? Is Pyatt on a team?
I think he's one of the reserves.
Listen, who could say? We'll break that down in our live season recap.
Okay.
I don't think he's on a team anymore. I don't think he plays there anymore. Anyways, time for another moment of joy brought to you by FootJoy. You'll see plenty of FootJoys on TV this weekend. More than half the players in the field wearing FootJoy shoes and gloves. My math is right. I think 100% of the participants on this show wear FootJoy shoes and gloves. TC's entire finish of the Wyndham was his moment of joy. Pie Man, what is what?
Solly, I got one more moment of joy.
Of course you do.
Real quick.
Of course you do.
Our friend Emily Brooks won the Rhode Island Women's Amateur this week, and I had a chance to play with Emily a couple times now. But at Highland Links out in Truro, out in Cape Cod, Massachusetts, last year, and she beat the hell out of Neil and I, and it was really impressive to watch. So, got the dub this weekend. Stayed open, stayed amateur. BDE, love it.
Pie Man, what's your moment of joy this week?
Why don't you go first? Because I think mine probably leads to a little larger conversation.
Okay. All right, my moment of joy was like truly watching the U.S. men's basketball, both the semifinal game and the final, had me hooting and hollering around the house in a way that I have not done in a sporting event in so long. I don't really watch the NBA anymore. I retroactively understand why after watching FIBA, like just watching like hand checks not get called and a way better flow to a basketball game, like the more style of basketball that I remember playing growing up in terms of team, instead of one-on-one and the team elements of it, the way the runs work in FIBA, it was just awesome. And to get to root for Steph Curry for once, like I'm not a Warriors fan, so I don't get to feel that suspense of that ball being in the air.
Who are you a fan of, Solly?
I don't really have a team. I don't really have
be
an
a
NBA
Warriors
team.
fan.
Yeah, I might as well be, but I've always been really intrigued by the U.S. men's national basketball team, and I haven't really been into it the last couple iterations for whatever reason, but I don't know if LeBron going back or this kind of final run for Grandpa James. It was just freaking awesome. And the Curry's run at the very end, it maybe tied a little bit. We had him on the pod last fall, and we actually talked a little bit about FIBA basketball and how maybe it kind of relates to Ryder Cup about having to wear different hats and play different roles and all that. It was just, I don't know. I was one of the few Olympic events that I set aside time to make sure I was watching, and it was really rewarding. It really was, because like it's the one like national team that we're actually good at, and it's not that fun to rally around the soccer teams because they always end up giving it away or gagging or not being
Unless
good.
they hire the Kingslayer,
Of course. But that was a true like moment of sports joy this past week was watching what Steph did in those final 2 games, because I've never seen anything like it.
In a weird way, watching that, what was going through my head, because I almost never watch basketball, is just like, man, that guy is the guy that's doing more for growing the game of golf than anybody in the world. Like, that's crazy that he's doing both of those things. He's just making all of these threes, and he's doing all this incredibly pragmatic, practical golf stuff. Like, we're lucky to have that guy.
And shout out to Steph. He is the 3rd No Laying Up podcast guest to get a gold medal in this past Olympics, following Lydia Ko and Scotty
Huge.
Scheffler. But
Needed it.
all
just-
2-time guests. So
I'm just not as impressed with like them winning the gold medal, like in kind of non-dominant fashion like that too. over
I will resist that.
outmanned French team.
I will resist that, because it's a totally different process for all the other
get it.
international teams, and they have to play a totally different style, and it's actually really impressive. I don't care if they don't dominate, because it really, the different rules I think do level the playing field so much.
I do like the different rules. It's good, I think. And then, who knows? LeBron may play in the 2028 Olympics in LA if they let his son on the team, something like that,
Hey, I thought we were gonna get an HGH joke in there. Deej, what's your moment of joy?
I mean, honestly, some of it was all the tweets going around. What's the funniest LeBron moment? I don't know if you guys saw much of those, but there's just so many good moments. But we can save that one for another day. I will keep it. I will bend it back to golf. I had a chance to go up to Sand Valley this week, and specifically got to play Sedge Valley, which is the new Tom Doak par 68 golf course there. And for those that are watching on the podcast channel, you can see this photo. But for those that are not, this is the 15th hole. It's about a 200-yard par 3. You can see that the entire green banks to that back right. You can see a tiny little fleck of yellow. That is the flag stick. A lot of people, when I posted this photo, are like, why are you just standing in the shit? Did you hit your ball left? What's going on? Like, that's taken from the tee box. Like, that is what the approach shot looks like. I have never seen anything like it. It made me absolutely giddy. I was hooting and hollering, to borrow a phrase, and just like that's what I love about golf, man. It was awesome. You guys got to get to Sedge. It is really, 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 really cool. And Solheim particularly, I think, like, when you read some of Doak's stuff about it, he was talking about how inspired he was by a lot of the inland English heathland courses, and not needing to stretch something out to 7,300 yards, and looking at something and saying, hey, if we're not worried about making this a quote unquote full size golf course, then let's just pick whatever the best green sites are. And it doesn't really matter how far apart they are. They're going to be good holes. And that's exactly what Sedge is. It's a lot of really cool short par 4s, but with real danger up by the greens. So it's constantly, we say this all the time, but it truly is a golf course where if you're a high handicap and you want to just bunt it around and play super safe, even if you're a low handicap and you just want to play it really safe to, the middles of the fairways and the middles of the greens, you could have such a boring, stress-free day and probably not make a bogey out there. And as soon as you're like, man, I drove all this fucking way to come to Sand Valley and I've got it, I'm only here once. Like, you start pulling driver and you start hanging yourself, and it's so fun. It's such a fun exercise, and I cannot speak highly enough about it. It was great.
Sounds like Doak is just in a good headspace,
I think so. It's so different. I mean, that was kind of my biggest takeaway is I always feel like Tom Doak golf courses, and obviously he's much smarter about golf courses than any of us. But what I always feel when I walk off of there is, man, I see what you're doing, but I'm just not good enough to kind of take that on. And so if you are an elite player and you're ready to kind of go to battle with one of those golf courses, I'm sure it's the most fun thing in the world to try to conquer it. I always end up just like playing really bad, and I'm not hitting good enough shots to actually, like kind of have a do or die moment with these different shot values and stuff. I'm kind of just hanging on for dear life the whole time, and it doesn't usually end up being all that fun. Sedge in a smaller package kind of allowed me to probably feel what really good players feel on a lot of
Well put.
Dokes golf courses.
That's an
And,
awesome endorsement, by the
and
way.
it's so fun, man. We were leaving, we got to play the Lido as well, which is a whole other conversation, which is also awesome. But we're leaving the Lido and ran into a couple guys who had just played Sedge, and I was asking them what they thought about it, and they're like, honestly, man, like we're trying to change our tee times around so that we can go play it again. Like we loved it so much, and it's just kind of, I don't know, maybe other people will feel differently, but like I would struggle to picture who doesn't walk off just like loving that golf course. It's so fun.
So you guys make fun of me when I say about Pacific, like about how hard it is for the higher handicap players, that they don't get to like they get punished like way more than like the lower handicap players do. But like,
No, I don't make fun of you
agree.
for it.
No, I agree with you. I'm just making fun of you for saying it.
Yeah.
but
And how pro
but that's-
Bandon Dunes you
but that's
are.
where like the Mammoth Dunes part of Sam Valley always just like made my brain melt in terms of like, whoa, we have like the easy to hard golf course scale off like completely. Like if it's 80% of the courses are too hard and 20% are too easy for quote, it should be completely opposite for how much like for people's actual skill level in the game. And the best players still can have so much fun in exactly what you're talking about there. And they want like as a better player, I want the whole group to have a great ass time and to enjoy the thrill of all the shots and not feel like they got their dick punched in. And that doesn't mean it's not challenging. It just like doesn't need to be unnecessarily
Different
hard in a lot of spots.
kind of challenge.
Yeah.
And Mammoth is kind of on a different scale where it's so wide and it's so wide open that you can kind of, from my recollection, which the only time I ever played it was during our dream golf loop when I had to quote unquote walk it in like an hour.
You look like
minutes.
Cooch.
Yeah. Taste it, Cooch. You want to see what it looks like to get it in under dark? There you go. So I don't, my recollection is probably not as good as it could be, but that was a little more kind of hit it anywhere off the tee and use the slopes and have a fun time making some birdies. I feel like Sedge was a lot more engaging and a lot more like, hey man, this is not a long par 4. You can definitely drive this hole, but you're probably going to make 6 if you miss. Like you got to hit it, and you got to hit such a good spot to do it. And it just felt like such a like the proportions of the game felt so much smaller, but not because it was OB and houses and ponds and creeks and all that stuff. It's just kind of no, this bunker's, you're fucking dead if you're in here. Oh, here's the heather. You're going to be really having a bad time here. And it's just really interesting too. Like that par 3 that I mentioned, 15, is a really cool green. The 18th hole is kind of I sent you the flyover, the kind of aerial shot of it. It's like a drivable punch bowl, basically. There's 2 shelves where you have this right shelf that you can go up and kind of hit over the ledge and have a straight shot into the green, or you can go at the flag. And if you end up short, it almost kind of feels like number 14 at Bandon Trails, but in reverse. And if you miss, you're going to be way down that left side, hitting directly up at the green. And it's just such a do or die match play type of golf course. Poosh would love it. You don't have to keep score. You could be playing match play out there. It's just
God, it sounds like Randy would hate it.
I think Randy would love it. I think Randy would they still allow you to play stroke play. So that's why Randy would love it.
2 questions, Deej. One, what do they do as far as pace of play out there? If it's a bunch of like drivable stuff, and is it just less groups on the course?
That's a good question. We didn't have any issues. We were cruising kind of, and we teed off at 12:45. So I mean, it was midday, and I think we could kind of sort of see the group in front of us, but never really caught them. Could kind of sort of see the group behind us, never really caught them. So I think they just spaced it out good enough to make sure everybody has a great time.
Gotcha. And then how was the Lido second time around?
Much better. TC and I played it in May, and Tron, I don't know if you felt this way or not, but it's just very overwhelming. And of course, For those that don't know, the Lido, the recreation of the CB McDonald course that no longer exists out in New York, that was taken over by the Navy in the 40s after a couple world wars, put them into disrepair. Supposedly the quote unquote greatest golf course ever built, and just kind of laid in disrepair for 80 some years until they tried to recreate it basically like inch for inch. Brian Schneider and Tom Doak and Peter Flory, historian, found a bunch, as many aerials and journal entries and everything as they could possibly find, and tried to recreate it about 1,000 miles to the west in Wisconsin. Big, super flat piece of land. It's on the other side of the road, so Sand Valley, Mammoth, Sedge, even the Sandbox all feel pretty dramatic. I feel like there's a lot of ups and downs and a lot of elevation change. Lido is perfectly flat, and I think a lot of that's even probably by design. Like they probably even had to flatten it out
Yeah.
and then kind of try to move all this sand where it was supposed to be. But yeah, where all of that, where I'm going with all of that is it's really flat, but it's kind of like the old course in that there's enough rumples that you can't really see where a lot of the bunkers and a lot of the trouble is hiding, which is really disconcerting the first time around, because you're looking at your yardage book and all you see is bunkers, and you're
So
looking out at
on
the
some
fairway
holes,
and all.
there's like 25, 30,
Yeah.
35 bunkers out there
Seriously?
at varying angles and distances. You're like, what the fuck am I looking at here? And it's also like the firmest golf course you'll ever play in a really windy site. And there's just a lot going on.
Yeah, which all of that adds up to an experience that, I mean, we're in the middle of central Wisconsin. Like, I don't think anybody's really expecting to play real links golf, but man, that's kind of how it plays. You're really trying to control your runouts. You're really trying to bounce stuff up. It's awesome, man. And the second time around, when you're just not quite as tiptoey as we probably were the first time around TC. It was just, you can kind of pick your lines and really be committed and trust the caddies and swing away. It made for just such a fun experience. And just so many cool holes. Channel hole is so cool. It's par 5. Solid. That was the one I sent you, that you kind of have this little, basically like guitar pick sized fairway over on the right, to try to have like a 7-iron into the par 5, or you can play out to the left and have a par 3. uh, all the templates you've and heard of, done expertly. It's awesome, man. And I think all of this kind of in summary adds up to, like, Sand Valley has, I know nobody's sleeping on Sand Valley, but man, they've got some serious critical mass there now, because that was, I think, probably a pretty fair knock for a while, is that it's so far out there, it's so hard to get to, that why would I go do that and play 2 golf courses when I could go to Bandon and play 5? Uh, and now you're looking at it, you're like, man, you have Sand Valley, you have Mammoth Dunes, you have the Sandbox, you have Sedge, you have the Lido, and they're also, like, I don't even think they've announced this yet, but they're very openly under construction on another project, which is the 13-hole, I believe it's called the Commons. Jim Craig is doing that short course, kind of like a family style type of golf course, probably a bunch of short holes and cool greens. And that's kind of right in the middle of the property too. So anyways, not to be a big ad for Sand Valley. It's just, I'm very thankful that we have that within driving distance of my house. I mean, we drove up the night before, stayed close, played 36 and drove home. And to be able to do that in Wisconsin is unbelievable, because usually you're getting on planes and you're traveling around and you've got a travel day on either side. And it's just very, very thankful for all the development they put into it, because it's a special place. And saw your boy, the commish, having some cheese curds, Roger Goodell.
I thought you meant the
No,
commit,
not the
like
actual commish. The just Roger Goodell.
Big Raj.
Big Raj.
That's fantastic. That's a great endorsement. It's
Yeah, you guys got to get up there next year.
I mean, you have so much more good golf and driving distance to you than we do here in Florida. Like,
It's kind of a mind fuck. Yeah.
you just can't play it out there.
Well, speaking of TC, you got to tell me, you had something in Slack. You were describing, we have a personal kind of golf game Slack. You said, in quote, just correct me if I'm wrong, you played around the other day where you were 2 under on the 5 par 3s and 6 under on the 4 par 5s.
6
Is that
over.
correct?
Six over.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's what I meant to
par
say.
fives.
That's what I meant to say.
Yeah, played truly horrible on the par 5s. No, I mean, one of them I was trying to force the issue, and I've been hitting the driver off the deck a lot with the new GT. But yeah, I got the 46. I put a pitching wedge in, the 46-degree Vokey in place of my pitching wedge, and I've just been thumping it. And but yeah, I don't know. Shipping stuff's back. I was messing with my grinds a little bit. I messed around with an M grind. I think I had like a couple double chips. Wasn't good.
You were
Things are
flashing. Why'd you
manifesting
change it?
themselves. I know I've been doing all the TPI stuff. I'm so sore. It's crazy how sore I am. So I'm trying to kind of work through some things there. I'm supposed to have this US Mid-Am qualifier a week from tomorrow out in Utah. I'm playing like dog shit. I'm just like having an existential crisis of like, man, if should I fly all the way out to Salt Lake City, play a practice round?
Let's go shoot
Poosh is
84.
playing with Iration, and then I gotta
You better go
hang
play.
out
Go do it.
there, and then
Well, you
I know
already
it's just an
accomplished
extra like 3 days on the road, you know?
you already accomplished your goal. Your goal was just to sign up, right?
Just sign up, I know. Set your goals low, folks.
Are you still beating up the olds out there?
Some of the olds beat me the other day.
Oh,
Wasn't good. So, granted that was, certain guys were getting multiple, 2 and 3 pops on certain holes as well, so which is tough to come back from
sure.
as well. So, yeah, but I'm a work in progress right now. I feel like you know, I'm I'm doing some foundational work.
Solly, anything cooking in you got anything in the lab?
But I've been working through a very tough 6-week childcare stretch, so there's not been a whole heck of a lot of golf over here. But I have taken, I've set a little goal for myself on 2 different fronts. It's I'm doing the 180 challenge, all right, which is I'm trying to get down to 180 pounds, and I'm trying to get my ball speed up to 180 miles an hour.
Ooh.
It's before the twins come, which I lost 6 pounds very easily, and I've plateaued.
Just
And
get there, take one photo, and then the
yeah,
twins come, and
that's
then
it. And
you unwind
I'm
it.
gonna fall back off a cliff, and I'm gonna have triple dad back. So I just want to know that I can do this. But
Do you have to do it at the same time?
I got to no, I just got to be able to get to. Oh, that's a good point. I have to be at
'Cause, I mean, you could gain so much speed and put on so much muscle in the pursuit of speed that it's impossible for you to get under 180, right?
I think I'll be okay on that front. But that's a
You
good
should
point.
have
I
to
got to figure that out.
take a scale out to the range with you.
It's-
I would prefer that, TC. I would feel more comfortable. I think if you have your scale and
And
your
it's gotta be one of
GC
those big
quad.
scales with the doctor. Hang on.
Yeah.
I
Oh, shit.
started.
All right. I hit 180. Thank God. I hope I'm not too sweaty.
I didn't make
And you gotta
weight.
call the PGA Tour folks and make them give you a drug test as well.
I started at 196. I got to 189 actually pretty easy, but I plateaued a little bit there. I was at 167 ball speed when I started working on this, and I touched 173 when I hit ball. I made a
Let's go.
horrible mistake, TC. I went and hit balls for 30 minutes on Saturday. Never in the middle of the day. I'm just not gonna do that again this summer. I almost.
See,
How you're gonna
index was
cut
like
weight, though?
121.
That's a good. I thought I was gonna pass out. Honestly, ate a bunch of Indian food before I did. It was a bad situation.
Oh,
But so that's what we got going on. I was going to congratulate you, Deej, on the Brewers taking 2 of 3 from the Reds. I want to. We can save this topic for a future one. We're getting a little long on time, but appreciate everyone's feedback on the golf sponsorship pod we released earlier this week, which has kind of inspired me to start thinking of a part 2 to that and follow up. And if you have any questions or anything that you or rabbit holes you want to hear me go down on that topic, I'd be happy to crowdsource those. So
Yeah. What about Johnny or Denny Cash?
I got
I
to
mean,
see if
thank
he's
you.
available again.
Yeah. I don't know if he's a listener, but thank you to him for all his time with that.
Closed a couple deals this week too, Denny. So this
Yeah.
next week,
yeah, Denny Cash closed the Truist Championship.
That's right.
With, close to $200 million deal that the PGA Tour. I think Sorry, I do think it definitely signals that the tour is comfortable with chasing some sponsors away or trying to command a high
Trimming the
dollar,
herd.
saying, "Hey, we're gonna limit supply here, and there's a limited number of seats at the table for these signature events. If you want a signature event, you're gonna pay dearly. If you want to guarantee a signature event for 7 years, you're gonna pay even more dearly because they're charging. I mean, I think it's 22 to 25 million dollars a year for this with escalators and all of that, and and then it's cool too. They're bringing it to Philly Cricket Club next year,
Yeah.
which is great news. While Quail Hollow is at
It's PGA's Quail
it
Hollow.
has the PGA. So, but I do think it's like, the tour definitely leaked out there that, hey, this is up to a $200 million deal, that, kind of some internal PR for Denny Cash and
People in the
the
industry.
Big J Monahan, Steamboat J acolytes there at the tour.
I was bummed we didn't see him at the Prowler last week.
But well, he stopped in DC on his way to the Prowler too. I was looking at some flight records and everything. Maybe a little DOJ meeting. But I think also too, it's interesting to see this one go from being managed by another agency to being managed by Championship Management. So the tour will take on ownership and all the operations for this tournament, sell it, have all the efficiencies there. I think this is what they're going to try to do more and more so, and cap charitable contributions to the local charities as well. So
Feel good.
PE, baby.
Feel good story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Careful what you wish for if Kuchar's in the field on all this championship management stuff. You're the one that's got to fight all these volunteers for Monday morning.
All right, it's 10:30. I don't have the. We could go down 50 different rabbit holes with this one. I'm going to move us towards wrapping. USAM is this week at Hazeltine. We have a podcast recorded with Max Homa, which will be out some part of the early part of this week. Some fantastic stories within that one over the past year in Max's career and life. We also wrapped up our film room series from Bannon Dunes. The most recent video at Bannon also features Max Homa doing the commentary on that one. People seem to really like Max getting involved in that one. But
he's so observant.
Yeah.
He knows more about your golf game than I do.
I couldn't believe. I was like, I never even thought about it. I do that. I get on my tiptoes. I never even thought about that one single time.
Yeah, hopefully people like that format, because we had a technology breakthrough where it's a lot easier to make those with kind of a third party watching the stream and reacting. We just recorded one with Lauren Coughlin, LPGA winner Lauren Coughlin, watching us chuckleheads play golf at the old course. So a true let us know who you want to see on the channel type of situation.
We should call it the Film Room Falwell series.
Pull up a chair.
We'll be back with a happy hour for the remaining PGA Tour events these next 3 weeks. Memphis, BMW, and Tour Championship. We'll have people out on site at the BMW as well. That is AIG Women's Open Week as well. Randy and Cody are going to be across the pond for that one. A lot of good stuff coming in this coming week. Had a nice little, not really a respite in an Olympic year, but a nice little, somewhat of a respite after the major championship this past year. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We will see you back here several times over the course of the next week. I have a lot of episodes coming out. Subscribe to the No Laying Up Podcast YouTube channel. Subscribe to our regular YouTube channel. Subscribe to our podcast on podcast feeds. That's about it. Thanks to FootJoy, Blade and Bow, BMW, TC, DJ. Peace out. Good night.
Cheers.